There was a strong rebound in manufacturing in the UK last month. It was the sharpest rise in 25 years. Latest figures show the sector bounced back unexpectedly following a big drop in July following the vote to leave the EU. And one of the main reasons for that is the weaker pound, making our goods cheaper for foreign companies to buy. Our economics correspondent Andy Verity is here, and these figures really weren't expected, were they?
Not at all, no. The consensus from economists was much poorer. And this is not just sentiment either. This is relatively hard data. So you're asking the decision makers, the key people who make decisions on what to buy, what supplies to buy to meet the orders coming in, the people who are at the cutting edge of the economy, if you like. You're asking them whether things are getting better or worse or staying the same. And more than half of them now are saying they're getting better in August. And part of the reason, as you mentioned, is the weaker pound. Just look at what's happened to that in the last few months since the vote. It started off up in the 140s. You can see that big drop there. It gets down to 130 or so. Now it's back up to about 133, but substantially less. So it means that foreign companies buying British manufactured goods are paying effectively 10% less. So those goods are a lot more competitive. On the other hand, we also see in this data the flip side of that, which is that the manufacturers have to decide what to buy in. If they're making envelopes, they need to buy in, for example, paper pulp, wood pulp, and they might pay for that in dollars. And that, of course, has gone up because their pounds buy fewer dollars and that buys less of the goods. 44% of firms say their supply costs are up. But overall, Sophie, what's interesting about this is that the weaker pound seems to be having a stimulating effect on the economy in a way in which low interest rates haven't succeeded so far.
Andy, thank you.
Now, British manufacturing companies have reported a strong recovery in August after suffering from an apparent loss of confidence back in July following the Brexit vote. The value of the pound rose sharply after a survey suggested that the manufacturing sector enjoyed its biggest recovery for a quarter of a century. And that happened during the month of August. Our economics correspondent Andy Verity has more for us. He's in a factory in Greenwich in southeast London. We can join him now.
Thanks very much, Hugh. This is actually a glass manufacturer here, and they're thriving so much that they're having to work through the night just in order to be able to meet demand. And that is indicative of a new buoyant mood among manufacturers. The data we had today talks to key executives at companies like this and asks them, are they feeling better? Are they feeling worse? Have things stayed the same? Anything over 50 means they're feeling better. Well, the reading we got today was 53.5, and that was up by 5 points. That's one of the biggest gains we've had in 25 years. And July, of course, was very gloomy, so that's a big bounce back. Why is that happening? Well, what the manufacturers are telling us is that the pound's devaluation has really helped them. We now have a pound at $1.33 roughly. It used to be $1.40, $1.50. So that means it's 10% cheaper for foreign companies to buy the goods of companies like this. That really helps them and acts as a stimulus to the economy. On the other hand, the flip side of it, of course, is that you have to pay more when you're importing your materials from abroad. So companies like this are often paying 10% more. 44% of companies asked said they were paying more for their imports. That hasn't fed through to us, the consumer, yet, but you can expect it to do so in the coming months, Hugh.
Andy, thank you very much. Andy Verity with the latest on the state of the economy for us in that factory in Greenwich in southeast London.